Realtors, do you know what your 1 to 4 family contract says that the seller's responsibility is when there is a lease in place and you have a buyer that is purchasing the property? I hope so. Do you have to write into the contract whether the seller has to provide you a copy of the lease and any of the documents like the condition of the property? The answer is no. It's already in the contract. Do you have to ask the seller to not lease his property out while you're under contract? The answer is no. It's already in the contract. Yes, we get contracts all the time where agents are rewriting what is in the contract. If you rewrite what is in your contract, your 1 to 4 family contract, or any TREC promulgated contract for that matter, you are practicing law. Yes, dun, dun, dun. In paragraph 10, possession, when you look at part B1, it literally says after the effective date, which is the execution date, the seller may not execute any lease or may not convey any interest in the property without the buyer's written consent. That means if it has been on the market, if it's a duplex, if it's a threeplex or a fourplex, and it's been marketed before, they can't put another renter in while we are under contract between the effective date and the closing date without the buyer's written consent. It's in the contract. Part 2 of that says that if the property already is under a lease, there is a lease involved, someone is already leasing a side or a unit, that any move-in condition forms and copies of leases have to be turned in to the new buyer within 7 days after the effective date of the contract. Not at closing, not prior to closing, 7 days after the effective date of the contract. That means we don't have to write it in anymore. That means the seller is responsible for getting us copies of the lease and the condition forms 7 days after we execute that contract. Stop writing in the blanks, factual statements that have already been stated in the contract because you're practicing law. It already says it in your contract. You're covered. So, when you're purchasing a property that's under lease, make sure the other agent knows within 7 days you need the lease and all the lease copies, all the condition forms, and make sure that they have stopped marketing that property trying to put another renter in because they can't lease it out until closing date. Hope that helps on this edition of Realtors Did You Know?